Okay, awesome. So welcome to anyone who's watching. My name is Mariah Vaughn. I'm the Assistant Director for KState First. And tonight we're going to be talking about our residential cat communities. So before we get into it, I want to introduce a couple folks who are joining with me tonight. So Brooks, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Mariah. Hello, everyone. I'm Brooks Hetley. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm the Area Coordinator for Student Recruitment and Academic Support with Housing and Dining Services here at K-State. Welcome.
Thanks, Brooks. And last but not least, Hope.
Hello, everyone. I am Hope Ryan with she, her pronouns. I am one of our many residential learning assistants here on campus, but I get to help lead the Hope and Resilience Through Fandom's residential cat community alongside Mariah. Back to you, dear.
All right. Thank you both. If you have any questions for us, we are doing this live tonight, but this video will also be available later. You can post them in the chat below or on our Twitter or on our Facebook page. And you can always email kstatefirst@ksu.edu anytime if you have questions about our residential cat communities or any of our other programs. So we want to answer your questions tonight if you have any, but we're happy to do so later as well. All right, so our goals with KState First and with our partners Housing and Dining is to make the most of your first year while you're at K-State. And so we want to make sure everyone does something academically engaging, and we support your academic success and help with the transition to college level learning and college life. So with those goals in mind, kind of the four core ways that K-State First helps students transition to college is fostering a sense of belonging, raising academic expectations with engagement and compassion, empowering students with a strong sense of personal responsibility and social agency, and offering a lot of opportunities for diverse activities, interactions, and learning. So we assess our program yearly. We want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to make sure that students are successful while here at K-State. And students indicate that they really love their K-State First classes. So they're a little bit smaller, they're thought-provoking, they provide challenging learning environments, a lot of varied assignments, and they have personable, flexible, accessible, and well-prepared instructors. K-State First helps students persist. So if you're in a CAT community, you are more likely to come back for your second semester or your second year here. You're also, you have a slight GPA bump, which is great for students who, or any student, right? So those are some of the ways that we support students through our program. So what is a CAT community? CAT actually stands for Connecting Across Topics, although it fits since we're the Wildcats, right? So these are a set of learning communities that are specifically designed for first-year students. They're a great way to get connected to academic interests, to make friends, and to learn from engaging professors. So they're small, they're capped at 20 to 22 students, and these are people who are going to be interested in the same things that you are. So you already have something in common as you're going into this learning community. They also offer mentoring from both an outstanding professor and, like Hope said, an advanced undergrad learning assistant who's been successful in those same courses that you'll be taking. So thinking about the sort of behind the scenes of a CAT community. So I lead the Hope and Resilience Through Fandom CAT community that Hope mentioned she's the learning assistant for. These are powerful because they're living learning options. And so not only are you taking classes with the same group of people, but you're also living in the same hall or grouping of halls. So you have this opportunity to build your community both inside and outside of the classroom. There's focus on active learning. And And so, for example, in my CAT community, the final project for one of the classes is to create your own film, which is always a really fun and engaging project. We go to co-curricular events together, so we do things outside of the classroom throughout the semester. We go to the author talk of our common book most years. We'll go to lectures together. Sometimes we'll do fun things like going to the zoo or going bowling. So just ways that build up our community inside and outside the classroom. And then the most powerful component of any of these CAT communities is the learning assistant. And so Hope's going to share a little bit about her experience later on in the presentation. But that's just some of the specific behind the scenes that we have with our communities. So for residential CAT communities, we have 12 different options. So like our other CAT communities, 22 students take a group of classes together. So kind of 2 general education courses and then a 1-hour weekly connections class where you're aligning what you're learning in those other 2 courses. But you also have that opportunity to eat, sleep, study, socialize near each other too. So we have kind of 3 different types of CAT communities. Some are focused on specific majors, so like we have AP Design or Engineering Futures. Some are focused on like what you want to do in your career after you're done with college, so like pre-med, and some are focused more on what your interests might be. And so like if you're a fan of DC or Marvel or Harry Potter, Hope and Resilience through Fandom is going to be a great option for you. If you're interested in psychology of Prejudice is a great one. So there are 12 different really awesome options for you. All right, I'm going to turn this part over to Brooks.
All right, thanks, Mariah. So again, Mariah gave a great overview of the different options available for CAT communities here at K-State. And then working with housing and dining services, we work with the residential CAT communities. So again, those are going to be the ones where you're taking a cluster of classes with students who are sharing the same major or interest as you, but then you're also going to be living in the same residential area. That could either be the same residence hall or a grouping of residence halls. We define them here by communities, typically by kind of the dining center in the middle and then the residence halls that are connected there. So there's a few different ways that you can explore these great options available as residential CAT communities. You can visit the KState First website, and they have a complete listing of all of the residential CAT communities as well as our non-residential CAT communities. So as you're looking through those options, they'll be able to explain the courses that make up those different residential CAT communities and the residence hall locations as well. You can also find that on our Housing and Dining Services website. So that's housing.k-state.edu. You can either click on our living options or on housing, or there's a purple button on our main page that says explore your options. And that's an interactive worksheet where you can click through our various options. And again, very similar, you'll be able to click on our residential CAT communities to get a little bit more information about each of those communities. So again, you'll get kind of a short description, you'll get the classes that make up that community, and then you'll also get the residence hall location. So it's just really important as you're considering a residential CAT community. We think that there are amazing opportunities here at K-State, but make sure that the classes and the residence hall location will work for you. So if you are interested in signing up for one of our residential CAT communities, you'll mark interest or preferences on your housing contract. So hopefully by this point, you've submitted your housing contract, but if you haven't, it's not too late. You can still certainly sign up for housing and sign up for one of our residential CAT communities. Again, you'll start the process on our Housing and Dining Services website, housing.k-state.edu, and click on the purple button that says Resident Portal. You'll log in with your EID and password, and you'll be able to complete the residence hall contract along with our $230 contract payment. And then you'll be able to mark interest in one of the residential CAT communities. It will be filtered by some of the choices that you make on your contract. So especially for those residential CAT communities that are based on clusters of majors or specific academic areas of interest. But for those that are more interest-based, those are available to all students regardless of what your major might be. If you end up changing your mind, we know sometimes that happens. You might initially be interested in one residential CAT community and then something else might seem more interesting. That's perfectly fine. You can update your by updating your resident. That doesn't impact the original date and time that you submitted your contract, or you can always email KState First, and they can help you with your preferences there. And we're hoping to do our selection for residential CAC communities here by the end of the month and early in April, because the selection and then I guess I should say the room selection process for our residential CAC community students actually starts on April 19th. So coming up in just a little under a month here, students will be able to choose their space of where they're going to live. Again, they have more limited options to choose from based on the residential CAC community that you're a part of. But if you have any questions about the residential CAC community aspect or how to sign up, feel free to reach out to Mariah or myself, or reach out to the general housing information or KState First information. We're happy to help. Back to you, Mariah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brooks. So the next kind of piece that we want to share with y'all are student experiences. And so Hope has agreed to share a little bit of how CAC communities impacted her and why she wanted to continue working with them. So Hope, first question, how did being in a CAC community positively impact your first semester at K-State?
I love this question because Mariah mentioned a lot of the statistics of just general positive impacts. You're more likely to stay for your second semester and further years. You get to live with a whole bunch of people. But personally, so I came from a small town in Oklahoma, so not in state, not a big city. So I was really scared about how I was going to make connections here on campus. But when I first joined, I joined the CAC community that Mariah led, and finding people that had such a nerdy interest in common with me was life-changing, because it's not always just nerdy people, and it's not just always introverts or extroverts in our CAC community. So you really get a whole bunch of different experiences. And I've heard that across the board with anyone who's been in a CAC community and those who have continued working with them. It's just, you really do get to make your founding community that can stick with you throughout your college career.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hope. And this might be similar to the second question, but what was your favorite part of being in a CAC community?
So originally, Mariah and I's CAC community was, oh gosh, I can't remember the official name. We focused purely on Harry Potter though. And we've talked about how Harry Potter changed society and how the series as a whole and their fans have impacted the world. And it was so very interesting. But I will stand by the fact that I love the film class that is partnered with our class. And I know that's just specifically my CAC community, but we got to play with Legos, we got to make our own movie, we got to read Harry Potter as a part of our assignments. Generally though, for just being in a CAC community, it's definitely that aspect of I was able to make friends quicker, because that was a really big factor for me staying on campus.
Awesome. Thank you, Hope. Yeah, active and engaged learning, right? I got creative with it. Plus, I like playing with Legos and making movies, so awesome. And our last question for you is, why did you want to continue working with the CAC community as a learning assistant?
This one's always a fun question, because a lot of people that I've met that are in residential learning assistant roles or learning assistant roles choose to be there because they love the effect that their RLA had on them. And I loved my RLA, but she came up to our class and at the end of her time and went, I'm leaving, and one of you should be the person who takes my spot. And a group of my friends and I were like, okay, yeah, that we agree. And I was the only one who applied out of my friend group. And so it was just kind of one of those things that fell into place. I was nervous at first, but when they tell you that it's amazing to be able to meet so many different people and get to know so many different lives, they're not joking. It's a blessing in disguise, and it's so much fun. I just love getting to know people's stories, and not to mention that K-State First is beautiful. It truly is a family, and I found my home there, and you can't leave family that you genuinely love.
Awesome. Thank you, Hope. All right. So next up, we want to answer any questions folks have. I've been paying attention in the chat and on our Twitter and Facebook. Nothing's come in so far, but if anyone's really excited and watching and wants to know something, we are happy to help. I'll also put up our contact information.
Mariah, I've got a question sometimes that we get asked is there an additional cost or any fees associated with being a part of a residential CAT community?
Yeah, no, there is not. So the only cost associated with the CAT community is the tuition for the classes. So most of the CAT communities are 7 credit hours. And so that's the general cost of them, but you get credit, general education credit for all of the courses, and they all count towards your graduation. So no additional cost. Brooks, are there any other common questions that you get in terms of working through the contract or selecting CAT communities?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just follow up a little bit again with that room selection process. So again, it's advantageous for folks to sign up for residential CAT communities by the end of March or the beginning part of April, because we do start our room selection process for students that are going to be a part of our residential CAT communities this year on April 19th. So if we've already got you solidified for one of those, we can get you in so that you have the opportunity to select your space. Again, what we do is we hold certain amount of bed spaces in the halls where the different residential CAT communities are located to make sure that our students have a space in those communities so they can participate both in the classroom as well as in the residential community. And so depending on the community that you might be a part of, we try to hold bed space of different room types and room styles. So if you're familiar with some of our residence halls, they have a mix of some of our different room types and styles in the buildings. So for example, Haymaker Hall has both traditional style rooms and suite style rooms. And we know that there's a price difference there, and there's different amenities and features to those different room types and styles. So we try to hold at least a few of those different spaces. So depending on what you might be looking for in those communities, we try to make sure to have some of those housing options available to you. And then again, some of them are going to be spread across an entire residential community area. So for example, our Kramer community or our Derby community. So you'd be able to select from any one of those 3 or 4 halls, depending on the space that's available. And especially with CAT communities that are spread across our communities, we hold a certain number of bed space in each community or in each hall. And once those are filled up, then students will need to select some other bed space. So for example, if you're going to be participating in a residential CAT community in our Kramer community, which consists of Weefald, Goodnoe, and Marlatt. If you're really excited about Weefald, but unfortunately all those spaces are filled, then you'll need to select a space in Marlatt or Goodnoe, just so we have some balance of where our different residential CAT community students are at. Again, if you sign up a little bit later, as long as there's still capacity in the residential CAT community, both in the classroom side as well as in the living space, we can try and get you in as well. But again, if you have any questions, concerns about the housing side of things, you can always reach out to housing@ksu.edu, and we're happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you, Brooks. I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share here. Yeah, and one of the questions we sometimes get to is if a roommate has to be in the same cat community, and that answer is no. In fact, that's probably a little too much together time with somebody if they're your roommate and they're in 3 of your classes and some of those co-curricular outside of the classroom things. So they just need to be willing to live wherever that cat community is located. So one of those halls that's associated with it, but they do not have to be in the same cat community that you are. Let's see, other good questions that we've had. So if you have credit, so if you're coming in with some AP credit for one of the classes that's connected to the CAT community, then you cannot be in it because all 3 of the courses are a required component of a CAT community. And so what we would do then is just work with you individually, see if there's another CAT community option that might work, or maybe one of our other KState First first year seminar courses or some other great engagement opportunity for your first year. I think those are, we pretty much covered the most general questions that come up. Hope anything else that you've kind of answered when talking with prospective students and families?
I know that one of the most common questions I get isn't with, oh gosh, go away. Isn't with, hi, sorry, that was a cat appearance. It isn't with prospective families or students. It's usually with students who have already passed their first semester or their first year with us on campus. So it is important to note that our CAT communities are a first year program. So if you're hesitant about doing it, like thinking, oh, this might not apply to my major, so I don't know if I want to do it, or if you have a really strict plan planned out, if you take it, you get KState 8 requirements or you get electives, and those will always apply to whatever major you're going to be in, because this is truly a once in a lifetime opportunity. And if you're even the smallest ounce is thinking about doing it, you got to hold on to that ounce and go for it.
That's a really good point, Hope, right? And so if you hear about it during your second semester later on, CAT communities aren't an option, but they are open to any first year student. And so that's not just incoming freshmen, it's also first year transfer students. So if you're transferring in from another institution and you'd like to be a part of a CAT community, that's absolutely an option for you too. So a good point of clarification. Thanks, Hope. All right. Well, I haven't seen anything else come in. So are we good to sign off? And like Brooke said, if you need to email housing or KState First, we are always happy to answer any other questions you might have at any time. Just send us an email, give us a call, and we're there to clarify and help. So cool. Well,
thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.